students, Chelsea here with Let's Talk. Today, let's break down object relative clauses. So remember, a relative clause is like a long adjective. It gives us more information about a noun. We've already learned about relative clauses that describe the subject of the clause. Today, we're going to talk about relative clauses that are about the object of the clause. So think of it like combining two sentences together. The box is too heavy. I tried to lift it. So we're going to put these two sentences together using a relative clause. So I want to describe the box, and in our second sentence, the box is it. So this second sentence is going to become the relative clause, and we'll put it inside this first sentence. So the first thing you want to do is swap out your word that matches the word you're describing with a relative pronoun. With subjects that were things, we had the objects of that and which. When this is an object, we get another option. We can do that, or which, or nothing. We take it out and we don't use a relative pronoun. So first, you make your pick, all right? Let's go with that to make it easy to start with. So I'm going to replace it with that, and then I'm going to move that relative pronoun to the beginning of my relative clause. So now I have that I tried to lift. It is gone. It turned into that, moved it to the beginning of the relative clause. Next step, we're going to take our relative clause and we're going to put it right after the noun it's describing. It's describing the box. So I'll say the box that I tried to lift. All right, here's my relative clause. It was a sentence, now it's a relative clause. It's right after the noun it describes. Finally, I want to finish my original sentence. Is too heavy. The box that I tried to lift is too heavy. And remember, we don't have to use that. We can use which. The box which I tried to lift is too heavy. Or we can just get rid of it. Leave it out. The box I tried to lift is too heavy. Get rid of it entirely. All three of these are perfectly fine. This is probably more common in spoken English. So let me show you some common mistakes that are made. First of all, they forget to get rid of the second word. So I'll see the box that I tried to lift it is too heavy. We don't want this it here. Remember, we took it, we turned it into that, and we moved it to the beginning. If I put it here, then it's in there twice. We don't want that, all right? So one way to know is to count the number of words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That tells me there's one too many. Gotta get rid of it. That won't work if you've chosen to omit the relative pronoun, but you can think of that as a word as well. Another mistake that I see. The box is too heavy that I tried to lift. What's the problem here? It's not after the noun it's describing. It needs to go right there. The box that I tried to lift is too heavy. After the verb, after the adjective, it doesn't work anymore. Got to go right after the noun. All right, let's talk about people that we are using in a relative clause. All right, so again, we're going to start with two sentences. So first sentence, the neighbor just fenced in her backyard. We visited her this afternoon. So I want to use the second sentence as the relative clause to describe the neighbor. So first I figure out which word in the second sentence is the same as the neighbor. For us, that's her. The neighbor is her. Then we're going to swap it out for our relative pronoun. When we have an object clause about a person, we get two extra options. As a subject, we could use who or that. We can still use who or that. Now we add whom or nothing. Leave it out. So again, these are all correct. It's up to you what you'd like to use. Probably omitting it is the most common. Whom is definitely the most formal. But up to you. Let's go with who just to make it easy. So, gonna get rid of her. I've changed it to who. Now I move that relative pronoun to the beginning of the clause. So who moves here. Who we visited this afternoon. After that, I'm going to put it right after the noun in my original sentence. The neighbor who we visited this afternoon. And then don't forget to finish the first sentence, the original sentence. Just fenced in her backyard. So our second sentence became a relative clause and we inserted it in our original sentence. All right, these are what we do for objects, but we also have objects of a preposition. So if we're looking at sentences like, let's see. The area was very affordable. We moved from there. So if I want to describe the area, that's there, here. Those are the same thing. So here's my preposition. That means there is the object of a preposition. So we can treat it just like a regular object if we want to. I can change there to that, which, or nothing, move it to the beginning, put it after the area. So that would look like the area that we moved from was very affordable. Or the area which we moved from was very affordable, or just the area we moved from was very affordable. All three are fine, but we also get another option for very formal writing. In that case, we're going to take our word, the doubled up word, and we have to use which. We'll turn it into which. And we'll do something kind of strange. We're going to take the preposition and the relative pronoun, put them both at the beginning. So our sentence would look like, the area from which we moved was very affordable. So this is the most proper English. It's very formal. Most people don't talk like this, but it is an option. You can take the preposition and the relative pronoun, put them both at the beginning. When it's an object though, you have to use which. If it's a person, you have to use whom. The person from whom I received a package is gone. So that's an option as well. Just much more formal. Okay, but what if we already have our sentence with a relative clause and you're trying to figure out if it's an object or a subject clause? We're going to rely on the verb. Remember, in English sentences, the subject comes before the verb. Subject, then the verb. So we're going to look for the verb. If my sentence says, the armchair that Dad bought is upstairs. We're going to look at our relative clause and find the verb first. So our verb here is bought. Now, right before the verb, whatever that is, has to be the subject. So here, Dad has to be the subject, which means that that isn't the subject. It has to be the object. Let me show you the opposite version. The armchair that needs cleaning is upstairs. In our relative clause, find the verb, needs, and the word right before the verb has to be the subject. When our relative pronoun is the subject, it's a subject clause. All right? Now, this can be more difficult sometimes when you've used the nothing option. You've taken out the relative pronoun. So in that case, we're going to want to look for repeated nouns and verbs. Let's see. The moving truck we rented broke down. Where's the relative clause? There's no that, which, who, whom. How do we know where the relative clause is? Let's find some verbs. All right, I've got rented and I've got broke down. Two verbs in a row. That doesn't make any sense. And up here, I've got moving truck. That's a noun, a subject, and I've got we. That's another noun. We don't have two nouns in a row like that. Doesn't make any sense. So this has to be the relative clause. It's an extra noun and verb. So Once you've done that, again, find the verb in our relative clause, which is rented. Right before it is the subject. So this has to be an object relative clause with our relative pronoun taken out. All right, that's all I've got for you on relative clauses about objects. I know this stuff is tricky, but keep practicing. This is Chelsea reminding you it's not nerdy being wordy. Let's talk again soon.